minutes. All right, everyone, welcome to day 21 of our 30-day redemption journey. Um, we have done our mind segment, we have done our body segment for those who have been on us for 21 days. Thank you. I hope that you receive value. And I hope that as we finish the next 10 days of this journey on the spirit side, that you're able to put this whole experience together for 30 days and it makes a life changing mark on you. And if not, we will continue the 30-day journey beyond April, and we will be doing workshops. So, thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to go through our first day, day 21 of Spirit. Um, and we're going to go through with Rafaela Silva of Restart and Be Fit. Um, and she's going to take us on this journey of healing through forgiveness. So, Rafaela, go ahead and queue up, and we look forward to hearing what you have to share.
Thank you. Thank you, Kashab. Hello, everybody. I'm Rafaela. Some of you already know. Looks like I'm getting some feedback here. Okay. So welcome to our first day of the Spirit segment. Again, my name is Rafaela Silva. And for those of you that might not know, my name means God has healed the one who heals. And I'll tell a little bit about my journey when it comes to healing. But before we start, I wanted to bring everybody in because today what we're going to do a couple of exercises that will require you guys to interact with me, okay? So I'm going to bring some of you, all of you in that decided to join in, and ask that you start your cameras, okay? Just a second here, I'm bringing everybody in, and we'll get started. So you should have gotten a notification for those who have. Like I said, we're going to do some exercises today that will require for you to interact with me, okay? So if you would like, you can go ahead and turn on your cameras right now for those of you who would like to participate. All right, so. Right, perfect. All right, so again, I say Rafaela Silva. My journey with healing has been a long one. Over the years, there was a lot of things that I was dealing with and holding inside. And although I did a lot of work on myself, one of the things that I discovered was that no matter what type of work I was doing on myself, either reading books, seeing therapists, just plain forgiveness, um, wasn't enough. There was something that was missing that in my life that wasn't allowing me to move forward. And when I discovered it wasn't the things that I was forgiving others for, it was a forgiveness of myself. So I think a lot of times, most of us will forgive others, but we forget the most important person that we need to forgive, which is ourselves. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what forgiveness is, and we're going to focus mostly on the forgiveness of self. So I'm going to go ahead and start my screen here. Give me 1 second. Here we go. All right, let me know if you guys can actually see it. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So today we're going to talk about the road to healing. And healing, you guys, is a process. And the only way that healing actually works if one is willing to continually do the work. So healing, it's not something that you do and one day you're good, right? So it's a process. There's a lot of things that have happened in our lives. Some of them are buried really deep within. And so when we begin the process of healing, there's a lot of things that we're going to uncover on that road. So that's why it's a process. As you heal from one thing, all of a sudden something else comes up, and then something else comes up, and some things just keep coming up because we've had lots of life experiences and things that have happened to us that have hurt us or disappointed us. So healing, it's a process that's ongoing. It's not a one-time thing. You get healed from certain things, and then other things show up that you need to get healed from, okay? So we're going to talk about what is forgiveness. We will look at what it means to forgive. And we're also going to identify unforgiveness in our lives. What kind of behaviors that we're experiencing right now that shows that there are areas of life that you need to forgive yourself for. We're going to talk about forgiving itself. But before we actually begin to forgive ourselves, we need to see what's in the space, right? So that's the exercise that we're going to do that's going to allow us to see what conversations that we're having in our minds. And the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to go through a simple prayer for healing that I've used over the years, that has worked wonders in my life, that has helped me clear my space to look at things that I needed to forgive myself for and let go, okay? All right, let's see here. Okay, so what is forgiveness? Let's see. So forgiveness, and this is the dictionary definition of forgiveness. So it's the action or process of forgiving or being forgiven. And of course, to forgive is to stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone for an offense, flaw, or mistake. One thing that I like to add about forgiveness is giving up the right to be right. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that even though you might be right about something, and that person or what the situation might be wrong, you give up the right to be right. Now, does that mean that that person or the situation get a free pass? No. I think integrity and accountability is still present. But what it does do, it allows you to free that space to see what's there and move forward. So sometimes you might be right about something. It doesn't mean, and you give up that right. You still are right, but you give up that right. And that way, I find that way is also a form of forgiveness when you let go of wanting to be right about something. Okay. Um, let's see. So identifying forgiveness. So this is one quote here. So unforgiveness is a poison that shrivels the heart. It means a person cannot truly live in the present as they're always thinking about the past. So forgiveness is something that you know, when it's there, when you haven't forgiven yourself for something, it blocks, it hinders whatever it is that you have going on in your life. It might hinder certain types of relationship. It might hinder how you do things. It might hinder taking action. So unforgiveness in our lives will hinder us from moving forward. Okay. And what are some areas of life? How do we know that unforgiveness is present? So one of the ways that we know that there's unforgiveness present in our lives is anger, right? Sometimes where someone says something to you and all of a sudden you just go off for no reason. Well, there is a reason. There's something there that there's forgiveness hasn't taken place, okay? Sometimes it show up as shame. You know, you've done something in your past and all of a sudden, you know, it keeps coming back and you feel shameful, you retract, you don't want to have conversations with people, you withhold. So because you're shameful or something comes up that reminds you of something, all of a sudden your behavior changes, right? So shame is a sign that there's something there that you haven't forgiven yourself for. Stress, okay? Stress is another one that it comes up in a form of worry, right? We're worried about something, or we are nervous, right? So stress also is a sign that there's something there that you haven't forgiven yourself for. Guilt, which is a big one. You know, you've done something in the past and you keep blaming yourself over and over and over again for something that's gone, that's completely, you know, non-existent in your life anymore, but you still keep reminding yourself of something you've done. It could be something even as early when you were a child and you're still beating yourself up for that. We live in the pain. You know, sometimes people, we go to bed and we keep thinking about the past and, you know, oh my gosh, when this happened to me when I was a kid, or when I did this, or, you know, this person hurt me that way, and you relive that whole entire emotion over and over again. So that's another sign that there is unforgiveness in our lives. Self-sabotage, which is a big one, you know, something happened to you and it didn't work. So because of it, you don't even take action to go any further, or you do things to prove to yourself, okay, that's not going to work. This didn't work, as I knew this wasn't going to work. So self-sabotage is also a sign that there is still areas of your life that you haven't forgiven yourself for. Okay. So, and like Mark Twain say, anger is an asset that can do more harm to the vessel in which it's stored than to anything on which it's poured, which brings me to this next slide on how these things that shows, these behaviors that show up in your life can show up, what it can do to your body. So I'll just let you guys just look at it for just a second so you can kind of sink in, okay? So when there is unforgiveness in our lives and some of these behaviors shows up, some of us might not even know unless there's something that we're feeling in our body. So fear weakens the kidney, worry weakens the stomach, right? Stress weakens the heart, anger weakens the liver, and grief weakens the lungs. So anger affects the liver. Stress, not knowing, when you're dealing with stress, not knowing, creating stories in the mind, fear and worry, the anxiety. You know, we just talked about grief, relieving the pain, right? The past. So when you continue to have these things in your lives, that area of unforgiveness, it stops us from moving forward. Not only that, it affects our body, which means that some of us can't even function properly. You know, you've seen people, they go into a depressive state. They don't even sometimes go to work. So it stops us from moving forward in our lives. Okay. So letting go, forgiving the self. Letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness. If in our heart we still cling to anything, anger, anxiety, or possessions, we cannot be free. Okay. So what I would like to do right now, I'm going to bring everybody in. Let's see. We're going to do an exercise. So I'm going to need you guys to turn on your cameras. And if you have not gotten a piece of paper and a pen, if you want to give a minute to do that, or maybe you can use your phones. We're going to do a quick exercise that's going to help us identify some areas of unforgiveness. So you guys should have gotten an invite to start your cameras. All right. Fantastic. Does everybody have a pen and a piece of paper? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So here's what I want you to do, okay? I want you guys to write down on a piece of paper as many negatives or judgment thoughts as possible that you have about yourself, okay? So this is not a right or wrong. It's not an exercise where you're going to be condemning yourself, okay? I don't want you to overthink it. I want you to write in the first person. So what does that look like? So I'm so mad at myself that I forgot to take the clothes out the dryer. I'm just using something simple, but it could be something heavier, okay? And don't worry, you're not gonna have to share these out loud. These are gonna be for you, okay? Whatever comes to your mind, you don't overthink it, whatever pops right away. It could be something that happened a long time ago. It could be something that happened just yesterday, or maybe a few seconds ago, right? So I want you to write it down and start it in the first person, or I am, or I have, you know, on the paper. So it could be anything, but it has to be something that you're beating yourself up in your mind continuously, because sometimes we're continuously thinking those things over and over and over again. I'm upset with myself. I'm, angry because of this. I'm so mad at, but it has to be about the self, because today we're dealing with the forgiveness of self. Okay. So these are things that you're thinking about yourself, or you're saying about yourself. It could be something about your body. It could be something about your health. It could be anything. So whatever comes to mind, I want you to write as many as possible. I'll let you guys know when to stop. Okay. And then we'll move forward. All right, so you can get started.
I'm gonna need a whole stack of paper for this.
And sometimes it happens that way. Okay, so how are we doing so far? We got enough that we've written down? Yeah? Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to read what you just wrote, and I want you to read it out loud. And when you get to the end of that list, I want you to start over from the beginning. So every time you get to the end of the list, start over. Every time you get to the end of the list, start over. I'm going to tell you when to stop. So when you get to end the list, don't stop. Just go back to the very beginning. Keep going back to the very beginning. And I'll time you guys and I'll tell you when I'm going to stop you from doing, okay? So I'm sure that everybody's on mute. So go ahead and get started. Make sure you keep repeating it. The only way that it works if you keep repeating over and over again. Okay, you can stop. So I want to hear from some of you guys. What was that experience like? You can go ahead and mute. Is that Joy? Joy?
Hi. It was a little hard and a little painful, I think,
Right?
facing like reality, I guess.
Yeah, that's hard, right? And painful.
Saying it out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what goes on in the head all day long, every single day. You know, so these are words that we're telling ourselves every single day, and we're not even aware of it because it's a record that plays in our minds. But when we hear it out loud, it's very hard and very harsh, right? If someone was actually saying that to you, you wouldn't like it, right? Would that be hurtful? So these are the things that we're telling ourselves in our minds every single day. Who knows how long, for how many hours of the day, because it's on autoplay, right? Thanks for sharing that. Anybody else that had a different experience?
Well, I had to stop for a while because I was going to start crying. That was for sure. But you know, out of 4 things, the list went down, and I ended up focusing on one, which I realized that's the one, that's the problem.
Got it.
And that was sad.
Yeah, got that. Yeah. Is that one thing that keeps replaying our minds. And sometimes I know when I did this exercise the first time, I felt sick to my stomach to the point I didn't even want to say it anymore. It was so disgusting for me that I was like, I don't even want to I didn't want to repeat it anymore because it was just it made me nauseous, right? So some things that we're telling ourselves are so sickening that will make our body sick, literally makes us sick. Okay. Anybody else had a different experience?
I think for me, it was just seeing the flurry of negative thoughts that probably I was unaware of that I have in any given moment when something sort of stops me in my tracks, or there might be an experience that might be overwhelming. So to actually write it down and see how fast I was writing a lot of things that I probably do need to forgive myself for and move on is startling, I think, because I didn't realize that.
Exactly, because there's so many things going on in our lives that it's like I like to call these thoughts a familiar song. You know how we have our favorite music and it just plays on the background, but we get so used to it. It's like, it's just there. It's been there for so long. You know, we're not even aware that the music that we're listening to, which is those voices in our heads, it keeps playing, repeating itself. It's on autoplay or the shuffle playlist, right? But when we put it out, we actually stop and listen to the lyrics. You know, I know there's some songs I really love, and I never paid attention to the lyrics. I just love the beat. And then one day I stopped and I said, oh my gosh, what is this song? This song is saying that. I had no idea this song was saying this, you know? And so when you stop to listen to the lyrics is when you become aware what's actually going on inside of you, you know? So yeah, and sometimes there's so many, like I said, how many was there? Like, wow, I didn't know there was so much going on in my mind. So you're right. Sometimes that list can be rather, rather long, and you'd be surprised if you were to sit one day and write out more. It would probably be a bunch of pages that were playing in our heads. Anybody else?
For me, it was annoying. You know, I guess I get annoyed real quick, but I was annoyed and I didn't want to hear it anymore.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. It was the same experience that I had. I wanted to shut it down. I didn't want to hear it anymore. The annoyance is another thing that you get from when you put the voices outside your head. Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
I'll share. I guess for me, I was like, I sound ridiculous. Like I started laughing at myself because it was like, this is how ridiculous you sound. It was kind of annoying too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So ridiculous, Sometimes it will bring tears. Sometimes it will be annoying, right? Depending on what it is that's going on in the head, right? So it depends what you're dealing with, what's going on. When you put it outside, like there are things you even laugh, like, what in the world? I'm saying this to myself? Gotta be kidding, right? Like, where's that coming from? Right, sometimes it's so ridiculous, right? But yeah, we're playing it over and over and over and over again in our minds, right? Exactly. And so, yeah, so some things are ridiculous to look at, right? Anybody else? All right, so we're going to move forward. So the healing process, where do we begin? Okay. First, I want to talk about healing. What is healing? Healing is the process of making or becoming sound and healthy again. One of my favorite authors, Louise Hay, say, you've been criticizing yourself for years and it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens, right? So the exercise that we just did, this has been going on in your mind for years. So it's not just something that just happened yesterday or last week, it's been going on in your mind for years. So imagine the damage that it has done, not only in our minds, but also in our hearts and our bodies, as I showed that clip, that slide earlier, what that does to our body in terms of our organs and what happens to, like I believe that a lot of the diseases that we carry in our body comes from up here, what we're thinking, right? So, and she's she's one of those that wrote a book called You Can Heal Your Life, where she literally healed her life through her words by changing her thought process, okay? And she had actually had a cancer and she healed her own cancer through the power of her own words, right? So going back to healing, so healing is the process of making or becoming sound or healthy again. So becoming sound is in good condition, not damaged or diseased, okay? So that's the definition of sound. And healthy, of course, is in good health. And I mentioned before, becoming whole and complete. Is healing possible? Yes, I believe it is, because, one of the things that the Messiah came while he was on earth, his biggest ministry was healing. Everywhere he went, everything that he did was focused on healing. Okay, so I'll just show you some scriptures there where it says, and wherever he went, into villages or cities or farms, they laid the sick in the marketplace and begged him that they might touch even the fringe of his cloak, and all who touched him were healed. One of my favorite ones down below says Matthew 8:1-3, says, and there was a leper who came to him and knelt before him, saying, Lord, if you choose, you can make me clean. He stretched out his hand and touched him, saying, I do choose, be made clean. Immediately his leprosy was cleansed. So I highlighted, I do choose, because healing is important, right? Without healing, we cannot not only function properly, but we can't carry out our divine purpose in life. What can you do? What can you do with a mind that is cluttered of what you just wrote down, right? What can you do with a body that doesn't work properly? There's not much we can do. We can only but go so far, right? So healing is important because it allows you to, as you become whole and complete, and you're sound, it allows you to carry out your purpose in life, and also function properly on your day-to-day. Going to work, taking care of your children, taking care of your family, right? So that's the importance of healing, okay? Let's see here. So one of the things that, aside from just through the Word of God talks about healing, one of the things that I discovered many years ago, and I'll talk a little bit about where it comes from, is this prayer called the Ho'oponopono prayer. Okay, and it's not a religion, it's just a saying of forgiveness that we're going to go over in just a second, and I'll explain to you what it means. But I've done this for many years, and it has helped me clear my space. The same exercise that we just did, where we look at some things that are in our minds, and then begin the process of, beginning to heal those areas. Now, you can choose to do this in several areas of your life. You can maybe focus on one thing, as Alex, pointed out, that one thing that keeps popping up, right? You can start by working on one thing and then go on to the next, and then you can do all at once. It's up to you. But I think when you focus on one, it helps, I'm a big believer in doing one at a time instead of trying to do it all at once. So we're going to go over what that means. I want to read this quote by Marianne Wilson. It says, "The practice of forgiveness is our most important contribution to healing of the world, especially ourselves." Okay. All right, here we go. So Ho'oponopono is a process of letting go of toxic energies. My mouse here. Within you to allow the impact of divine thoughts, word, deeds, and action. Okay. So again, it's a process of letting go of toxic energies, because those things that you're telling yourself, those words, they're energy. They're creating, right? They keep on creating. So within you to allow the impact, okay, of the divine thoughts, the things that, again, divine, what God has given you to do in this world, okay? Word, deeds, and action. So you have to let that go in order for the divine thoughts, or the thoughts that are good, the thoughts that are supposed to be there for you to carry out your purpose, can have a space, right? And Ho'o means cause in Hawaii, and Ponopono means perfection. So the term Ho'oponopono can be translated as correct a mistake or make it right. Again, bringing it to be sound and healthy again. Okay. Let me go to the next slide here. So the term Ho'oponopono came from an experience lived by the therapist and teacher Ihelakala Helu. He's a Hawaiian therapist. And as unbelievable as the story may seem, this man had managed to cure an entire pavilion of mentally ill criminals in Hawaii without even talking or interacting with one of them. So by analyzing each patient's records, the therapist applied the Ho'oponopono keywords, and the repetition to the technique changed his mood. So consequently, the mental activity of the detainees also changed. So the results were so surprising that, in short, it can be said that Loon was able to heal the prisoners as he was healing himself. So one of the things about Ho'oponopono is that, that everything that we're dealing with, or everything that is even outside of us, is 100% our responsibility. So let's say somebody did something to you and it upset you, brought something out of you, right? So it is believed that Ho'oponopono, when you do the prayer, not only you're healing yourself, but you're also healing others in the process, okay? Now, this is not a prayer that you do to change and focus to changing other people. This is a prayer that you focus to changing yourself. And in short, as you do that, as you change yourself, you also let go of whatever that, that connection, the pain or the hurt that was caused, that also dissipates, and that person also gets freed from that. So, but today we're not going to focus on the person or the situation. We're going to focus on the self. Okay. All right. So let's see here. So how does the technique work? Okay. Very simple. Okay. It's four sentences. We say, "I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you." Okay. And the way that we do it is we repeat it, just like we repeated what we said on that list. We're going to repeat these over and over again. Now, how long do you normally do this for? It's up to you. Today, we're going to do it for a few minutes, but as you do the practice every day, you do it as long as you feel something shift. Sometimes it could be tears that might come down. Sometimes it could be a sense of relief. It could be peace. You will know when to stop. Okay. So what we're going to do today, I'm just going to guide you through it. Okay. So I want you to look at your list. I want you to pick something from your list. Okay. And I'm going to guide you through. I'm going to say it every time I say, you guys just repeat. I'm going to put you guys on mute. I don't have to listen to it, but I want you to keep in mind that one thing that you wrote on your list that you want to free yourself from. Okay. So every time as you're repeating these words, I want you to have that on your mind, that one thing. Okay. And I want you to do it. I want you to close your eyes. Okay. So I'm going to guide you guys through. I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to place both of your hands in your heart, okay, as we do it. And so I want you to close your eyes. I'm going to do some breathing exercise really quick so we can get centered. And I'm going to repeat it. Every time I repeat it, you just repeat it to yourself with that one thing in your mind, okay? So here we go. So we're going to take a deep breath in. And we're going to exhale out through our mouth. Taking another deep breath in. And exhale out. And take another deep breath in. And exhale. Feel the beating of your heart. Focus on your breath. Deep breath in. Exhale out. And one more deep breath in. And exhale out. So I want you to bring to mind that one thing. And I want you to look at that one thing as if it's something that's in front of you. And you want to say, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And we're going to take a deep breath in. Then we're going to exhale. Another deep breath in. And exhale. Now I want you to think about you. Now I want the image of yourself to be present on your mind. And you're going to tell yourself, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Now take another deep breath in. And exhale out. And you can slowly open your eyes. Okay, so I want to hear from you guys. What was that experience like?
I'll go first since I have to leave soon.
Okay.
But I think it was good. I felt relieved, and it felt like my problem was so much smaller than what I was making it to be.
Got it. Yeah.
Just like seeing myself as the person and forgiving that human being.
Right.
Just seeing that transaction was cool.
That's right, because you are a human being and you're the closest one to yourself. Right? And yet we treat ourselves so bad sometimes, but the self is who, besides the Most High, is who got you. Yeah. You got you. And yet we treat the closest to us, which is ourselves, the worst. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it is relieving. Some people feel relieved. And you're right, like this is so small. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
For me, it was a very liberating exercise because, a lot of the times I can speak for myself that for me, it's been just sort of suffering in silence and just putting on airs of strength. A lot of the times you're putting on a good face for those around you, but silently you're kind of dealing with your own thing, but no one's really checking on you, but you're checking on everyone else and everything's great. So it was a very liberating exercise for me because I think it allowed me to face a lot of things that I had tucked in and kind of abandoned for so many years, and allowing it to resurface in this exercise. You know, I think for me, it's just been like a really good release.
Got it. Yeah, and the good thing about this prayer is that not only you get to see what you're dealing with, but you realize that what you're dealing with sometimes not even true. You know, sometimes it'll be stories that you created about something that happened. I think for those of you that were here on my first day, I spoke on, you know, separating the story from what happened. Sometimes we're suffering, you know, in some cases, of stories that we created and then we played on our minds on what we make it mean, and we're beating ourselves up, and we're beating ourselves up for years. So what this exercise does, it allows you to see, you know, what's real, what's not real, you know, and let those things go, and forgiving yourself even, you know, because guess what, we're going to do things that other people might not like, or might hurt others, even hurt ourselves. And we have to learn to let those things go. So what it does, it allows you to show compassion for yourself. And as you're showing compassion for yourself, you're also showing compassion to others, because because I believe we're all energy. And when we do it, we're also letting that person, for whatever situation, whatever reason, what they've done, if a situation is a person, we allow them to also be free from that mistake. Not give them a, you know, jail-free card. That's not what that means. Is now they have an opportunity to also deal with what they're dealing with, right? Again, responsibility and accountability has to take place. So sometimes when we do this exercise, it allows us to free the space, so then we can see, okay, I need to let this go, and also take responsibility for something, right? Because when you playing things in your mind, sometimes it also blocks you from making things right or making things correct, just like what the word means, making it right, right? So it allows you to do that as well. So depending on what the situation is, you know, each situation is different, but what it does do, it gives you a clear space to see things for what they really are. And most importantly, forgive yourself for whatever it is that you're beating yourself up for, or whatever is going on. So thanks for sharing. Anyone else?
Well, after a while, I just started to forget what I was, you know, holding on to.
Mm-hmm.
So that was okay.
Yeah, it does. Sometimes whatever you're holding on to, it just disappears.
Mm-hmm.
No longer there, right? Whatever was holding you there, sometimes I would even like say hostage, it goes away. It has that power to, you know, to make these things go away. And I believe that's the beginning, the process of healing. And as you do it, other things are going to come up. Other things are going to show up. And I would encourage everybody to look at their list, you know, and begin to do it for each thing on those lists. Not all at the same time, one at a time, and you know, just keep doing it. It's a process. Anyone else?
For me, it was very, I guess, calming, and it kind of centered me, and it's like a reset button, so you can reset and start all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Get back on track.
Yeah, it is a reset button. It allows you to clear that space so you can move on, move forward, you know, to whatever that is for you, you know. Anyone else? Anyone else like to share? So how often should I do it? How often should we do this exercise? Well, forgiveness is not an occasional act. It is a constant attitude. So one of the scriptures that I love is, then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Till 7 times? And Jesus says unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. Right? It was one of the great things Jesus says, as many times. So when you forgive he's talking about your brother, but It's also, I believe, it applies to ourselves. How many times should I forgive myself? How many times should I do this exercise of forgiving myself? Constantly. Okay? Constantly. Okay? All right, let's see here. So the truth is, unless you let go, unless you forgive yourself, unless you forgive the situation, unless you realize that the situation is over, you cannot move forward. Okay? So I'm going to open up the floor for any questions that you might have. Are we still there? Where did everybody go? So anybody, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure. Anybody have any questions?
No questions. It was pretty thorough. Thank you. I know what to do.
Yeah,
We can try and do it.
yeah. And you know, sometimes you can either do it as a practice, or you can do it when something begins to stir up inside of you and you don't know what's going on. I normally use the prayer just to kind of see what's in the space and clear my mind, you know, and clear the space from it. So you can practice it every day. You can make it as a morning routine. Some people like to do it in the morning. Some folks like to do it in the evenings before they go to bed. If you're a person that does meditations all the time, you can incorporate it as your part of your meditation. So, or you can do it when you're dealing with something. You can, you know, remember the prayer and choose to do it when you're dealing with something. So, so yeah. Anyone else had any other questions?
No questions. It was
Yeah.
a good exercise, so thank you.
Got it. Thank you. My pleasure. Anyone else? All right, so I want to make a couple of recommendations for you guys. Two books that I love very much. One is called The Untethered Soul, The Journey Beyond Yourself by Michael A. Singer. He talks about the noises in our minds, like the voices, the things that we're telling ourselves. It was such a powerful book for me to read. It changed my life when I got to see all the noises, all the chaos that was going on in my mind. So it's a great book. I definitely recommend. Another one is Zero Limits, which it deals with the Ho'oponopono prayer, which is what we did today. If you want to go more into depth about what it means, and as you do the prayer, as you do the the exercise of that prayer, what can open up for you in other different areas of your life. So definitely recommend those two books. You can find them on amazon.com/shop/restart and be fit, and you're able to get those there. Okay. Anybody else? Any other questions?
Presentation. What I like to do is take the next minute or two just to share the slide so that if anyone is interested in going a little deeper with you on this subject, they can. Um, I don't know if you have any finishing words before I do that, or you can do it after I pull up the information. It's up to you.
The finishing words that I would say is be kind to yourself and have some compassion on you, and remind yourself and tell yourself every day, I love you. You know, I think that, like I said, you're the closest one to yourself, and it's important that we be kind to ourselves. So those are my parting words. And I'll stop my sharing screen here. Let's see.
Okay, excellent. All right, so I'm going to share this screen. And I would like to thank you, Rafaela, for an excellent presentation and for taking the time to gather these important pieces. Um, with when we do these presentations, of course, we have a limited amount of time, so I'm sure there's more extensive information. For anyone that would like to gather more information from Rafaela, you can visit her website, Restart and Be Fit. I'm sorry, Restart by Rafaela. Um, or you can send her an email at hello@rafaelasilva.com. The information is on the screen. And also keep in mind that we will be doing workshops. We may do a 10-day, we may do a 5-day. So, for example, if we're doing a 30-day redemption, it may be 5 days with Rafaela, it may be 5 days with Dr. Yoel, it may be 5 days with, you know, with Kashab. It could be different times for different people in their area of expertise or their area of skill. So look out for that. But Rafaela, again, excellent presentation. Thank you for taking the time to put it together so well. Any closing words?
Again, just be kind to yourself.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you all. This is our first day of Spirit. We have some good information in the next 9 days. So make sure you tune in. Also, make sure you check the fan page, 30-Day Redemption. Check out the onslaught of videos. Please share with others. I believe everyone should be able to tap into this information. When we finish, we will have 30 hours of content for every one day that we've spent together. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the company, and we will see you tomorrow as we do day 22. Have a wonderful day. Be kind to yourself. Have a good day.